So we've all heard that it's not a case of if, but when a big earthquake would hit the Pacific Northwest. King 5's reporter Glenn Farley has spent the last few years looking into how the state is getting ready and what we need to do, and he joins us now. But first, can we talk to you about Boeing
Sure,
just a
right.
tiny bit? So the CEO was before Congress and
Right.
had a tough time.
Yeah, we were there last week. There was a hearing in the Senate a week ago Tuesday, a hearing in the House a week ago Wednesday, and it was a rough time for them. And
About
there
the
really
MAX.
was. And about the MAX, there were families who were there who had lost loved ones in these crashes, particularly the second crash in Ethiopia, wondering why the plane was not grounded and fixed before that.
The first time. Where does this stand now with the MAX? And I've heard the flight attendants have gotten involved as well.
So the flight attendants from American are involved. They want an option to look at it. The pilots unions from American, from Southwest in particular, have been very active on this. Right now, the FAA has been looking at this. They have the materials from Boeing. They've been working with Boeing all along. Boeing has had to make major changes to the MAX system, the way it operates, limitations placed on it. The expectation for the timeline is in the next couple of months. Maybe by the end of the year, the FAA will sign off again, and that doesn't mean the other regulators will necessarily, like the European regulators will necessarily sign off.
It's all
at the
separate.
same
That is
time.
going to be fascinating, and we'll
Yeah.
continue to follow you. So you've been working on earthquake stories
Right.
all week as the state is getting prepared. You know, we talk a lot about our individual preparedness, and we
Right.
will, but what is the state doing for the potential big one?
Well, the state right now is trying to do two things. They're trying to, A, figure out how bad it's going to be. Remember the big exercise in 2016 we
Yes.
covered called Cascadia Rising. They're going to do another version of that in 2022. So that's going to be another examination. But what's also going on, particularly in the state side, is reinforcement in earthquake proofing of bridges, at least making them more earthquake resistance. And that's been the biggest thing. Single thing has probably been on the side of the DOT.
Tell me about the fault line we're on.
Well, we have a lot of fault lines.
Yes.
So let's get that. And right here, where we are in South Lake, really south of downtown, the Seattle fault runs pretty close to us right now. The biggest concern is this one. This is the Cascadia subduction zone. Basically, the continental shelf is these plates move past each other, and you can see that's what triggers the tsunami. This is the big daddy. We're talking about a
Yikes.
9+ magnitude earthquake, which will be devastating to the coast and will also be very damaging to us the further inland. The further inland you are, the better. Tonight we're also looking at a lot of the new science. So depending on where, you can see that 600-mile long fault zone. It's offshore. Still, where that starts, and they have run all these supercomputer simulations, could make a tremendous difference for how much shaking we get. So,
And how much water comes in?
and how much water comes in. So new research on tsunamis shows that yes, we will see some of that tsunami actually get into Puget Sound. Not so bad for Seattle, unless you're right on the water.
Yeah.
Could be much worse in Tacoma because it will commencement bay. So think of tsunamis as energy that manifests itself as a wave.
Okay. I know that there's vertical evacuation going on in
Right.
Washington. You'll be explaining that on the news, but I want to go to, if we can, just for time considerations, reminding us what we need to do. I know we talk about this all the
Right.
time, but I am underprepared, and I know if I've talked about it a million times,
Right.
and I'm underprepared, lots of people are.
So we have a graphic of this you can bring up. This is a number of agencies. This one happens to be from the Washington Emergency Management Division. This is the 2 weeks ready kit. It's kind of set up like a backpack. It tells you everything you need to know to set up a kit. You know, things as simple as having a teddy bear for the kids, a comfort item, water. Water is a big deal.
And it has to be replaced how
It has
often?
to be about a year. You can buy water packs that will last for 5 years that are completely sealed up. But basically, if you can get, for example, on Amazon, I've got a bunch of these big blue water tubs, and I'm about a year. I'm actually crept over a month, so that's one of the things I need to do this weekend is renew the water in there. Water purification tablets, you can get purifiers, pumps. If you got a lot of camping gear, a lot of flashlights, a lot of extra blankets, blue tarps, you've already made a start. Everybody
Right.
goes, oh my God, this is going to be hundreds of dollars. I don't
Not
have any of
necessarily.
this.
We
But
probably have
exactly,
it.
exactly. This is a kit that I carry in each of my vehicles. So this one's fairly small, but inside that kit, you've got keeping dry is important.
It's a poncho. That's
It's a
going
poncho.
to, take care of business.
Light sticks, food. If you're in a car, you're probably not going to live all 2 weeks in your car.
Right.
But you could be delayed. So even if the bridges are okay, they're not going to allow you to drive on those until they've been
And you've got to
inspected.
get this stuff done. We're
And
going to have
so, yeah.
resources online about this. Glenn,
lot.
thank you. I just saw the picture of his house, and he's ready. So let's be you instead of me in this situation. Glenn will have more on how the state is preparing for earthquakes tonight on King 5 News at 7. We've included a list of resources on our website to help us all prepare. More New Day after this.